Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick. We're here in sunny California in San Francisco at IDF, the Intel Developers Forum. And I'm talking with Deepak Rana, Director Systems and Technology Market Development at Intel, and also with Vasu Sankhavaram, who is with HP, where he is Chief Technologist and Strategist, NFV Business Unit. Gentlemen, welcome. Seems to me what we're doing with NFV is pushing an IT-type ecosystem, vibrant, fast-moving ecosystem, onto the service providers and the telcos when they've not been used to doing so. It's something very new to them, and it's causing them some headaches. Now, a lot of the hype we get in NFV is this notion that you just simply go to a warehouse, you pick up a big white box, unlabeled box, you take it, you stuff it into the network, and away it goes. But it doesn't quite work like that, does it? Because some servers are certainly not born equal to others. It's a matter of the amount of innate intelligence or applied intelligence in it. So where does this play into your strategies?
You're absolutely right. It's not like, today it's the legacy telco, and tomorrow you have a quantum leap towards this NFV, the new way of doing things. And so the way we look at it is, this is going to take a journey. All the way from making sure that, number one, the software is decoupled from the custom hardware, right, which we call as the softwareification, so to speak.
Yeah.
And making sure that now that software component can work on industry standard servers. The next step in that journey is the whole virtualization. How do we make sure that the same software now can work in a virtualized infrastructure? So if you just go ahead and put an application on virtualized infrastructure without taking into account what the application's performance needs are, its reliability needs are, it's going to fail miserably.
Sure.
Right? If for example, you need a 10 gig pipe, and you just put it on a standard virtual machine, you're probably going to get maybe 5 to 10% of the throughputs. So how do you make sure that you're using the right technology in order to give you not only the flexibility of virtualization, but at the same time providing the performance of close to, let's say, line speed, as an example, and providing the telco reliability, the telco manageability, things like NEBS compliance, right? Those are really crucial. If a Web 2.0's company's web service goes down, hey, the max is, they have an impact to revenue. Yeah, there could be some shareholder issue. But, if it's a telecom service going down, trust me, the FCC and the other telecom regulators will be all over them. So making sure that it's not only meeting the agility needs, the flexibility needs, but the compliance and auditing needs. That's a huge deal. And making sure that the infrastructure and the management software is actually supporting that. Those are a couple of things that we absolutely need to look at. Now, obviously, in this journey, to get to that state wherein they're as agile as a web company, there are other things in terms of adopting the principles of cloud. Things like, do we see that at some point a public cloud or a hybrid cloud kind of model would be used? Possibly, but that would mean only when you have the right level of security in place, right? The last thing you want is the company's data to be lost, because now it's in a public cloud. And so making sure that the right principles of cloud, along with security, along with big data, are in place. And last but not least, the whole service brokering approach with microservices and the principles of DevOps. So it's a very measured crawl, walk, run approach in our opinion. The last thing I'll say is, while we are making clouds, right, we don't want to boil the ocean, even though that's how you make clouds, right? And it has to be a very measured crawl, walk, run approach, and an incredible amount of discipline that needs to accompany it.
I agree with all Vasu was saying. A few things to add to that are, you're absolutely right. The traditional telecom world was where there was a separate IT department, there was a separate infrastructure department, there was a separate R&D department, and there was a separate services department. And they worked in some degree of harmony and relatively in isolation. One key transformation that is taking place is the IT and the infrastructure groups have to work together. And consistently we find that with service provider. The number one challenge when we go and survey service provider, what is your number one challenge in making this transformation? Interestingly, is people factor. And when they say people factor, mean adoption of the mindset that it is doable.
Yeah.
And not only it is doable, it is necessary to do so. So to facilitate that behavior, to facilitate further, in many progressive companies, the behavior pattern is merger of the IT and the infrastructure groups. But in the places where they cannot quite do it, what they do is in some services company, the equipment and procurement is done by IT department. Then they lease it out to the infrastructure people. Therefore, it creates the dependence or reliance and mutual trust. But clearly, the world of IT, because the services, the reference points are IT, cloud companies. They all want value of the cloud company, reliability of the telco companies, and the price point of free. These are mutually very difficult goals to accomplish simultaneously. Also, telecom companies work in a very heavily regulated environment. In very many parts of the world, they are regulated, semi-regulated government, regulated monopolies. So they cannot quite operate in a global manner as some of the cloud players play, because it's their world, their network, their everything. However, the trend in that direction, something has to give: regulatory environment, simultaneously internal cultural and mind change shift, and technology adoption. And again, this is really the early phases of that transformation, and we will see more of it in the later parts of this decade. But we do see in next several years, because fundamental survival is at stake, change or perish. There is no choice.
Thank you. That's a pretty stark message. So all it leaves me to do is say Deepak Rana and Vasu Sankaravan, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
Thank
Martin.
you. Thanks for the invite. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you.